The story begins with a man named Martin narrating his painful story. He says that a long time ago, back when the first vampire showed up, there was a man named Mr. and he was the best vampire hunter that there ever was. He traveled the Stakelands killing the vampires. One day, he came across a boy who was in big trouble when he encountered a vampire who was to eat him up, but Mr. showed up, staking the vampire right through his chest, saving the boy. Afterward, the boy came north, meeting a girl, and it was your mother. Afterward, Martin goes to fetch some water. Just then, he hears a siren sounding, the harbinger of big trouble. He grabs his gun and asks his wife to stay inside the house no matter what happens outside. He comes outside and falls into a fight with a pack of vampires. The mother, the head of vampires, captures Martin's wife and daughter, and shortly after, she kills them. Martin mourns over his wife's death as he couldn't save his family. As a result of this killing, Martin sets out on a journey to the south into the Stakelands to find Mr., the last vampire hunter. On his way to the Stakelands, Martin comes across the carcass of a bunny, brutally killed by the vampires. Just then, a stealthy vampire moves toward him, but the vigilant Martin smashes her head, savagely killing her. Afterward, he continues his search for Mr. Martin arrives in a ruined town, completely devoid of humans. Here, he finds a motorcycle and rides off, arriving into a devastated town only to find abandoned houses. Moments later, he encounters a vampire loitering there, causing him to aim at him with his bow and arrow, but just then, an arrow comes flying, impaling vampire's head. Martin notices that an elderly couple saved him. The elderly couple questions him about where he is coming from and what he is doing there. Martin replies that he is looking for someone called Mr. Then, the couple informs him that the Mr. is no more in this world. Afterward, the elderly couple takes him home and offers him food and water. Martin asks the lady why she wasn't eating food. To which, she replies, she has already eaten it. After having food, Martin goes into the room and begins to lose his consciousness while Carl is standing behind him. Shortly after, the elderly lady tries to attack Martin with a sharp spade, but Martin dodges this attack. Meanwhile, Carl accidentally shoots his wife instead of Martin. Making the most of the opportunity, Martin stabs Carl in the head, disposing of them. The next day, Martin wakes up and leaves the house, continuing his search for Mr. He enters a shop and finds a man running the shop. Martin shows the sketch of Mr. to the shop owner, asking if he has ever seen him. The shop owner answers in the affirmative, revealing he saw him a few months back, heading towards Connorsville. Afterward, Martin begins his preparations to head to Connorsville, but just then, he senses someone's presence in the abandoned factory, prompting him to investigate it. Moments later, he discovers a little girl standing before him. Right then, he is attacked by a group of people on the head, knocking him out. When Martin regains his consciousness, he finds himself enchained and captured among feral people, worse than the vampires. The feral people throw him into a battleground to fight a battle with someone who is undefeated till today. The undefeated man turns out to be Mr., whom Martin has been searching for long, but Mr. couldn't identify Martin. Soon, Mr. and Martin get into a deadly fight. In course of the fight, Mr. spots the locket he once had given to Martin when he was a little boy, and quickly recognizes him. The chieftain orders them to continue their fight, but Mr. kills him with a stake throwing at him. This creates chaos among the ferals. Meanwhile, a young feral woman also manages to free herself, while a vampire also frees and starts slaughtering the people in this stampede. Martin, Mr. and the young lady flee the scene and escape into a house to avoid being caught by the ferals. Martin tells Mr. the whole story, how he lost his wife and daughter during a clash with the Brotherhood. He tells him that the mother, the head of the Brotherhood and the vampires, mercilessly killed her wife and daughter. Mr. asks Martin to forget about taking revenge against the mother as she is too powerful to be subdued, but Martin is determined to avenge his wife and daughter. Moments later, they all hear a cry outside the house, causing them to get alert. Actually, the members of the Brotherhood have arrived, while searching for Mr., Martin, and the lady. Mr. hides Martin and the lady into the basement, but just then, the Brotherhood bursts into the house, knocking Mr. out. Afterward, they capture and take him away, while Martin and the lady see this hiding from a distance. The members of the Brotherhood hang Mr. on a post in an open field to be eaten by the vampires, making him like a scarecrow. As night falls, a pack of malignant vampires begins to rush towards Mr. to quench their thirst for blood. Somehow, Mr. frees himself and starts killing the approaching vampires. During this encounter, Mr. also gets severely injured. However, he keeps fighting, managing to kill them in the end. Just then, Martin and the lady arrive there, while searching for him. Seeing Mr.'s worsening condition, Martin cauterizes his wound to prevent any infection. The next day, a few members of the Brotherhood clan arrive there and discover vampires lying dead on the ground instead of Mr. Moments later, the mother arrives there, boarding a palanquin. The man apologizes to her, but she doesn't pardon him and brutally kills him. Elsewhere, Martin tells Mr. that he needs to collect willow bark to lessen his pain. So he goes away, leaving the lady to look after him. Moments later, members of the Brotherhood arrive there, capturing Mr. and the lady. However, Martin returns in time and kills one of the men wearing the robe and forces the last man to surrender. For fear of getting killed, he takes off his hood and surrenders himself. The boy tells Mr. and Martin that his name is Judah and he does so in compulsion or the Brotherhood will feed him to the vampires. Afterward, they all come to a well, carrying the injured Mr. on a canvas. Martin approaches the well but finds it dry, getting crestfallen. A short while later, a man named Bat arrives there with his man. Bat approaches Mr. and quickly identifies him, saying, "I thought you were dead." Afterward, Bat takes all of them to his shelter, where a doctor treats Mr. A young and beautiful woman named Billy offers food to Judah, the captured member of the Brotherhood. The doctor informs Martin that Mr. is out of danger. During his unconscious state, Mr. goes back in time, to when he first encountered the mother and killed her child, moreover, spoiling one of her eyes. Judah tries his best to manipulate Billy, requesting her to set him free, but Billy doesn't fall for his words and leaves. Outside, Bat explains to Martin that the fences around this area are electrified, making it hard for vampires to enter, and all the power required to run this shelter is generated by these two generators. Next, while mopping the hallway, Billy calls Judah but he doesn't respond, prompting her to look into his cell. She discovers that Judah has broken out of the shelter. At a tavern, Martin gazes at a father with his little daughter, clearly missing his own daughter. Bat comes to the hallway and finds that Billy has been killed by Judah before his escape. Moments later, a horde of vampires under the mother attacks the shelter, but Martin and Bat are already prepared to face them and kill several vampires. Mother screams and Martin quickly recognizes her at first glance. Shortly after, the mother pulls back her followers and leaves. Martin rushes to her to take revenge, but is stopped by Mr., who has just recovered from his injury. The next morning, Judah is captured again. Bat questions him about the Brotherhood and the vampires out there. Then, Judah responds that they are in large numbers and every one of you is about to die when they arrive here. Bat asks Judah what the mother really wants. Then, interrupting the interrogation, Mr. reveals that she is after him because he killed her child and took her eye out in the past. Moreover, she used Martin to find him. Afterward, Martin approaches Judah, slitting his neck. As a result of the mother's attack the previous night, all the people begin to evacuate the shelter before she attacks again. Nonetheless, Bat and some of his loyal ones stay in the shelter to strike at the root of the problem. A little while later, the mother and her vampires march toward the shelter. Meanwhile, a suicide bomber, sent by Mother, sneaks into the shelter and blows up the powerhouse, causing the halo lights to turn off. Afterward, the surge of vampires rushes into the shelter, wreaking havoc. Meanwhile, Mr. draws Mother's attention toward him. Bat and his men escape into a room, while the mother goes after Mr. Just then, Martin comes flying in, stabbing the mother but she throws him away and turns her attention to Mr., thrashing him. Shortly afterwards, Martin gets up and stabs the mother several times but she is invulnerable to such an attack. Elsewhere, Bat and his men are completely trapped inside the room. The mother hoists Mr. but he spoils her remaining eye, making her unable to see anything. Afterward, Martin and Mr., playing upon her blindness, kill her by chopping her head off. Elsewhere, finding no way out, Bat explodes the entire complex, killing all the vampires inside, including himself. Martin and Mr. also manage to escape the shelter riddled with vampires, only to find the lady, who had also killed a vampire. However, during this conflict, she has been bitten on her neck by the killed vampire. Mr. tries to bring her back, while she hisses at them. Afterward, she rushes and lunges upon a vampire, lurking around Martin and Mr., killing him. Afterward, she breathes her last in Mr.'s lap, making him gloomy. Moments later, Martin and Mr. feel the presence of incoming vampires. Therefore, Mr. asks Martin to leave him, but Martin doesn't want to abandon him. However, Mr. cajoles him into leaving the place before it's too late. Afterward, a surge of vampires rushes toward Mr., killing him. Next, the rest of the survivors head north in search of a safer place, and this marks the end of this movie.